Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Wait, take.
Throw. End zone. Caught. Terrence Williams. Touchdown, Cowboys. Tony Romo.
They go for the shotgun. Roger looks left. Fires it out there. Caught by Tony Hill. Touchdown, Cowboys.
15 to the 10, he'll score. Emmitt Smith dances to the end zone. The Cowboys have taken a 2-score lead.
Play fake to throw it out of the end zone.
Going way down the field for Michael Irvin, bumping and grinding at the 5. Oh, he's got it. Touchdown, Cowboys.
Over the middle, caught by Witten, who loses his helmet but still keeps going. A penalty.
All the pressure on the left side. He drops the ball, throws, caught, Witten. Touchdown.
Big opening for Tony Dorsett. Look out, he's got great speed.
99 yards and a half.
Dorsett down the sideline. Stays in bounds.
Can you believe that?
And
Short because they're
99 yards.
Prescott able to get out of the end zone and now airs it out for Lamb. He's got it. He's gone. When he gets there, it's a touchdown, Cowboys. On top.
You want to know what an all-pro looks like? Watch Michael Irvin here. He'll battle you all the way down the field.
Motion on first down, Aikman. Harper. Was that beautiful? Touchdown, Dallas. Men on the rush. Pass is caught. Deflection. Touchdown. Cowboys win. Amari Cooper.
Throws it down the field. It's caught at the 10. And this game is over. The Cowboys win it. C.D. Lamb.
But no. But you understand, we do have one game left to play. Hey, fantastic. Every single one of you. I mean, I'm not just talking about these last 60 minutes. I'm talking about the quarterback schools, the mini camp, the off-season, the training camp, down in Austin when it was hot and you were tired, the whole bit. Everybody, you did one hell of a job. And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Cowboys.
Over the middle, caught by Witten, who loses.
Cowboys Nation, welcome back to another episode of Sons of the Star. I'm your host, Dallas. Joining me again, as always, is Cowboy Reg. How we doing over there, Cowboy Reg?
I got to reposition my new mini helmet here with the Sons of Star logo on it. I'm doing well tonight. We just got off the air on another podcast, so we're already fired up. So let's get it rolling.
Yeah, we did. Was it the Sports Truth podcast, right?
Yeah,
out of the We Like Sports family. So we appreciate those guys having us on. We were talking a lot of things Cowboys. We will plug that episode. Cowboy Reg will tweet it out, and I will as well on my page. So we are live again here on X tonight. So if you have comments about, I know we got a lot to talk about here about this Dallas Cowboys team, specifically this Dallas Cowboys loss to our rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, in an embarrassing fashion. The Cowboys drop another at home, their 5th straight blowout loss at home. Things are not looking good. Obviously, the Cowboys dropped to 3-6 on the season. They are winless at home, and I'm not saying the score because I don't want to say it, but here it is. The Cowboys have lost 34-6. That's right, 34-6 against the Philadelphia Eagles. So we are feeling it tonight. Yeah, bad performance. So I know you guys got some questions, comments, concerns out there about this performance because it was as bad as it gets. So where do we start from here? We could start from so many angles. We could talk about how disappointing the season is as a whole. We could talk about why the Cowboys lost. We could talk about where do we go from here. There's just so much to unpack here. But, really, Cowboy Reg, do you have a preference, or should we just try to talk about this game one thing at a time and just move on from there?
Yeah, let's get this game for the last time. Let's talk about what happened in this game, and then we don't have to talk about it anymore. So let's break that down, and then we can look forward.
Yes, the game was right. I was actually a little optimistic because the Cowboys looked okay. The defense looked okay in the first half. It is really just this Cowboys offense was so inept on offense. It's just by the end of the second quarter, it was pretty much over. So the Eagles did go up 7-0, and then the Cowboys got the ball back and had a little drive going. They kick a field goal to make it 7-3, and then at that point we got the ball back from a fumble, and Zeke had a chance to punch it in to go up 10-7. And was that the fumble, or no? That was just the good drive that we had, right? So I think I could go. Hold on here.
Well, it's the same situation. It was, where we're sitting there thinking we're about to go into halftime up 10-7, and then all of a sudden Zeke coughs it up, and we're going into halftime down 14-6 at the end of it. So that was a game changer. And, I immediately tweeted out, and I stand by what I said. Zeke Elliott should not have another carry in the NFL ever again. The performance that he put in this year, his yards per carry, the fumble that he just had, the game-changing fumble that he just had, and the fact he was suspended the week before for missing team meetings. Why is he on the team? What benefit is he bringing to the team?
Right.
But
Zero.
yeah,
I was looking up the drive summary, but there's nothing he could do. So just to clarify on that, the Cowboys had a 9-play, 32-yard drive. They kicked a field goal. They then had the interception by Trayvon Diggs, which is really good to see out of him.
That was nice.
In the end zone, the Cowboys immediately punt after going 3 plays for 5 yards. Then the Eagles punt. The Cowboys get the ball back. That's when they had their best drive of the day. They go 13 plays, 77 yards. And then Zeke fumbles into the end zone. So we will segment from there. So that's when the Cowboys really, I think I turned to my wife and I said, well, that'll do it. I mean,
that'll do it.
That's going to be
That's
the game.
it.
Because you had the chance to go up 10-7. And
Yep.
after a beautiful strip sack by Micah Parsons, great to see him back. But yeah, at this point, what has Zeke done on the year? His stats have been abysmal. He doesn't show up for meetings. He's obviously a problem in the locker room. He's washed up. I mean, what else do we have to see out of this guy? Why was he playing in this game in the first place? Like
And why
after
is he
his
getting the
first,
ball? Why is
yeah,
he
I
getting the
mean,
ball when we're down by the goal line? When Rico got you there, Rico keeps proving himself over and over again. They keep putting him on the bench. It's insane.
yeah, Rico Dowell went 12 for 53 in this game. It's not a huge performance by any means, but not bad. I mean, again, he's still averaging 4.5 yards per carry. I mean, with this offensive line, this offense, it's really not that bad, but he's still not giving him a chance, right? It's still not giving him a chance. He only had 13 less yards than Saquon, and Saquon had 2 more carries. So
there you go.
What are you doing with Zeke? Let's look up his quick box score here. He went 6 for 22 in absolutely can't even express to you how costly that fumble was. And one of his longest carries was for 8 yards. So other than that, he went 5 carries for 14. So it's just I don't get it. He's still getting half the carries.
Yeah, it's insane.
So 0 carries for Dalvin Cook in this game. He was suited up. I mean, wasn't he?
I did not see that he was, but I don't remember the camera going to him.
Yeah.
But yeah. I assumed that he was not. When I saw Zeke was active, I assumed Cook wasn't. But, did they carry an extra back? And if they carried an extra back, why? I mean, they're so narrow at so many other positions. You would think that they would keep someone somewhere else, but maybe he was active. I know he didn't play.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter whether he was or not because he never got a touch. So, yeah, the Dalvin Cook experiment, I guess, is over. Unless, I mean, what are you going to do with Zeke? I guarantee you they're going to bring Zeke out next week. It's just like I just don't understand it. I mean, it's just I don't. This is the thing that's so frustrating about this team right now. It's just like unless they're just tanking. I mean, but still, even if you're tanking, why would you give this guy? Why would you let this guy play? That fumble should have been the last time he ever plays in the NFL.
That's what I
hate
said.
to do this. It's just look. I mean, I don't want to come in here and shit on Zeke. He did some great things for us a few years back, but like now that there's all these off the field issues, I'm way done with him. But I mean, then from there, like I said, the Cowboys
The second half was a
Get
disaster, man.
Yeah, so they actually, after they fumble, they were able to get a fumble again.
Oh yeah.
That's when the Parsons fumble was. It was, yeah. So the Cowboys fumble into the end zone. The Eagles get the ball back. They force a fumble on the Eagles, which was huge. Fantasy football dude says thanks for the memory, Zeke, but we have to move on. Couldn't agree more. But they concede. They do 4 plays, 1 yard field goal from that fumble. Great field position. It was only a how long was this field goal? 23-yard field goal.
Yeah,
So I mean
yeah.
they
That was
couldn't
a
punch it in.
situation where I was surprised they didn't go for it. I mean, again, what is McCarthy playing for at that point? Does he not know that season is over and you might as well just go for it? I think it was fourth
Yeah,
and goal from like the 4-yard line. Like it's not that much
yeah.
different than a two-point conversion. How? Where's the old Trey Lance shotgun and roll out play on 2-point conversion? That's what you can use in those situations. I don't know what were they rotate? They were rotating Trey in for a while. What was going on
That was
there?
in
Did you
this.
catch that?
That was in this. Yeah, that was in the second half. At the beginning of the second half, they rotated him in for like one series, which never works. But if you're
No,
gonna
it
do
never
that,
works.
like you say, you got to use Trey in the red zone. They've been awful in the red zone as it is. Like he's a mobile quarterback. Like that's the time to bring him in. You don't bring him in to start a drive and then rotate him out. That makes zero sense. I mean, the whole team is just it's a clown show. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. Are we last in the league um
In rushing?
in red zone? No, I'm
Oh,
sorry. We're
red zone?
31. We're 31 in the league in red zone conversions for touchdowns. Just embarrassing. It's just like one thing. They are not good at this. This team is not good at anything. They are literally not good at anything other than kicking field
Kicking.
goals. Uh,
Yes, kicking field goals.
but I mean, the turnover margin's 30th in the NFL. Um, Time of possession 29. I mean, it's just so unbelievably bad. Fantasy football
It's
dude says
all
us
yeah.
three could implement more creativity on offense. Yeah, I mean, the Cooper Rush just throws to his check down every time. He throws 2-yard passes. I mean, or he takes shots. There's like nothing in between there. And
No.
we had no trick plays. We had no packages with Trey Lance. Like I know Wildcat's kind of outdated now, but just anything, man. I don't know, but like Cowboy Rich said, the season's pretty much always over. What do you have to lose? You're trying to go out there and beat your rival, right? And you just have, like you said, fantasy football dudes. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely no creativity. They come out passing the ball. First of all, with all the issues that you're having, you got your backup starting. Why are we taking the ball first?
And then we pass the ball 3 times in a row to start the game.
Yeah, I mean, none of it makes any
Mind-boggling, man.
sense. It's like they're thinking their way out of all statistics and any type of stretch. Like I don't know. McCarthy's like so in his own head that he won't. He's like, oh well, we got our backup in, so they're gonna think we're gonna run the ball. I got something for them. Here comes a 2-yard
Right.
check down to Ezekiel Elliott. Like, oh yeah, you're really gonna fool him, Mike. You're doing a hell of a job out there, dude.
Oh
Like 3
man,
straight
that's
passes. What is going on? Like, I don't understand. It's laughable, man. Like they
that's
could
the
move the
last
ball
thing we
better if
needed to do. But yeah, I mean, why
like
take the ball first and then do that? But make any as I don't even see them trying out there. I don't know what they're trying to do, man. I'm not sure if they're all in the tank here. I don't know.
Yeah, fantasy football dude says at this point Lamb should get 1 fade per drive. It can't get worse. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, they were taking some shots like down the field, but I mean, it's just not working. Cooper looks bad. I guess that's the next segment here is how bad Cooper Rush played. So he threw for 45 yards, 13 for 23, 45 yards. So 2 yards per attempt, 2 yards per passing attempt. That's unheard of. He took 1 sack and fumbled twice. So
Oh,
he didn't throw any
ouch.
picks,
Ugh.
but it's just yeah, 2 yards per attempt. 2. Like I said,
And
that's the only time he completed pass is check down. He would throw to his check down immediately too. He wouldn't even look downfield. Just 3rd and 8, check down, 2 yards. Like he would. That's the other thing that frustrated me. It was 3 or 4 times in the game where he threw 4 or 5 yards before the first down on a third down, again, to either your running back or like Ferguson. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter who's there. It's like you're not going to convert that. We haven't been able to get yak all year. So, yeah, I mean, Cooper was unbelievably bad, but they did put in Trey Lance for a
Historically
few.
bad, right? Don't you have a stat on how
Yeah, I do have a
historically
stat on
bad?
that. So I have it here. So since 2016, 4,306 times a quarterback has attempted 20 passes in the NFL. 45 yards out of Cooper Rush is the lowest yardage out of those 4,306 occurrences. I mean,
That's bad, man.
4,306 times in the NFL, a
But we're
quarterback
gonna
has
roll.
thrown
We
20
are gonna roll him
is
back
the
out there
lowest ever.
on Sunday, though. He's starting Sunday. Mike McCarthy said, right? We're rolling him back out there.
Yeah, going to fantasy football dude says going to take a lucky quarterback edition. We squandered Romo and Dak. Yeah, I mean, couldn't agree more there. It's very unfortunate, and they've had their, they both had their chances in the playoffs though. So they've been there. They just, I don't know. I mean, it's too much to dive into this episode. Whether blame those guys for the unsuccessful runs in the playoffs or the team around them or the coaching or all of it together. But yeah, it's sad with the talent we've had in these two past quarterbacks and these are the results we're getting. But what else did you have, Cowboy Reg, before I cut you off there?
No, I just wanted you to share how historically bad Cooper Rush was. And,
Yeah.
we both agree we want to see more Trey Lance going forward because what do we got to lose and the season's over. But Trey Lance's numbers were horrid, man. He was 4 for 6, but he only averaged 3.5 yards an attempt, and he had one interception, and he took 2 sacks. In the little time that he was there, he took 2 sacks. So his QBR was 15.8, and Cooper Rush's was 16.4. They're both probably historically bad. Trey Lance didn't, the only thing Trey brings to the table is his rushing, and he had 3 carries for 17 yards. Cooper Rush isn't moving his feet at all. So I think we both agree we want to see Trey Lance in the future, but I believe McCarthy said they're rolling out Cooper Rush again. So what are we looking at on Sunday? More field goals at best?
Monday. At least we got an extra day to prepare.
Oh, this is a Monday night game?
We got a Monday night football game.
I thought
Oh,
it was
man.
a Sunday night game. You sure not a Sunday night game?
That's Monday night football against the Texans.
Man, I work on Tuesdays. I gotta go to work thinking about that game Tuesday morning. Oh man.
You can check it, but 11-18, yeah, that's a week from yesterday.
Oh man. Yeah, you're right.
That's gonna suck. And now we gotta listen to Troy Aikman just have he's gonna be all
and he ain't
horned
gonna be
up there,
wrong.
being able
He ain't
to
gonna be wrong.
shit all over the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's gonna tell the truth, and that we don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Man, Cooper Rush or Trey Lance. Yeah, we could have that discussion all day. Like Cowboy Reg said, McCarthy has named Cooper Rush the starter. I would again, I don't understand. Like they talked about maybe having him in some packages, but again, like it would only make sense to the red zone. That's not what they did in this game. And then like next game, I don't know if they're going to get to the red zone. So I don't know, but I think you've got to give Cooper Rush. He's been there a long time. He's paid his dues. He's been a good backup. Maybe give him one half next game. Maybe give him the game. I don't know if he can prove that he can do something. Is it just that the offense as a whole, they haven't looked great this year, but 45 yards, I mean, you still got CD, you still got Ferguson. He was going to Tolbert and Jalen Brooks a lot. And I don't know. I mean, I know the offensive line hasn't played great this year, but he wasn't really pressured a lot.
He's throwing the ball to the backups, like the guys he practices with. He probably doesn't have a lot of rhythm with CD because Dak's throwing to CD 90% of the time in practice. So I didn't think they were in sync, but he kept trying. He kept forcing the ball in CD's direction. CD had a ton of passes thrown at him. I can't remember his stats. You might have it, but he had very little in yardage, obviously, but there was more looks his way. And I think Cooper was just trying to force it. I think they told him not to make mistakes. That's why he didn't throw any interceptions. But when you're playing not to make mistakes, you make mistakes. And that's kind of why I want to see Trey Lance out there, because I think they just give Trey Lance the keys and say, hey, man, you're our last option. Just do your thing. And then maybe Trey Lance can light a spark under the team and they can lose by, 34-17 instead of 34-6. And at least we're watching some movement in the offense. We might be seeing more turnovers out of Trey Lance, but we probably see more 30-yard QB runs and more 40-yard passes and more drives and more points with him in there. So, I agree with you. Let's give Cooper Rush the benefit of the doubt and say you had a bad game plan. You were thrown in a short situation where you had to get ready in 1 week. And hey, you did what you did. We still know you were 5-1 going in. We believe in you. We're going to let you start this game. And then they secretly, when he walks out of the room, they say, if we're losing at halftime and we haven't scored a touchdown in 6 quarters with this guy at quarterback, we're going to Trey Lance in the second half. So that's where I'm at with it. I think that's their plan.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how you go about, like you said, and we talked about this last in the podcast we were just on, but it's just like Cooper Rush. Yeah, and I like what you said on that podcast. I'll say it again. In my opinion, Cooper Rush deserves definitely to be he earned the backup spot. So last game he's got to start, but after that performance, like, what do you owe him? Not much. I guess, yeah, but the team's not good as it is. So it's like, I guess you stick with him one more time, maybe give him a half, but I don't know if we're going to see a lot out of Trey Lance. It's just like he's still developing, and it's like I don't know how much time, but he's at the point now where he has to do something, or his NFL career is over. So,
and this is a perfect
at least he'll have something to fight for, right?
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
he'll have something to
nobody
fight for.
expects anything. Nobody expects us to win another game. We don't expect to win any more games. Maybe Thanksgiving, but overall we don't. So at this point, he can go in there without any pressure, and at least it can help him in free agency if he gets a couple wins and moves the ball around a little bit.
Yeah, Jennifer Bullard says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you, Jennifer." We're just on here talking about how Trey Lance is going to lead this team to how many games we have left? 8 straight wins, and the Cowboys squeak in the playoffs at 11-6.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding, of course. But yeah, I think you're right, Cowboy Reg, and I haven't really thought of that too much. But yeah, at least with Cooper, he's kind of, to me, he's reached his ceiling in the NFL. I think he at this point is obviously regressing quite dramatically too, unless he comes out this next game and shows out. But at least Trey Lance is fighting for his NFL life, and if he can go out there and maybe, like you said, the team rallies around him. He's a young guy. If they like him, they want to see him succeed. Maybe they go out and play hard for him. Who knows? And maybe that's the guy that you sign next year to be your backup. Who knows? If he likes the team and they fight for him and he wants to still be a part of the team next year and he performs well, they win some games. I think that's the story. I think that's what the fans want to see. If he goes out and plays god awful too, then you just go back to Cooper and they don't win another game. Who knows? But I mean, Cooper Rush can't go do anything like that again. I mean, this was the worst offensive performance by, to my knowledge, any team in the NFL. I don't know. I don't necessarily have the stats to back me up on that one, but tell me if you've seen a worse performance than this. 146 total, 146 total yards.
Yeah, bad.
And we're not even talking about the turnovers. They had 5 turnovers. They turned the ball over 5 times, and they only had 11 first downs. So at least they had 100 yards rushing.
Well,
oh man,
so a lot of that was that Trey Lance running in the fourth quarter. They didn't really establish the running game again. Yeah, I mean, Trey gives us at least a little bit of a dual threat, whether it's good or not. At least it exists where it doesn't with Cooper. And I don't think our offensive line has given any quarterback enough time. I mean, that's why Dak was under constant duress. So why not have a mobile quarterback in there at this point? It makes more sense to me.
Yeah. I agree, and I think you have to let him play a full game to really like. You can't just throw him in these packages or these for 3 downs because it's like, oh, they're going to throw in Trey Lance to do some run plays. Like he's got to play a full game to be able to
Right.
use his legs, which he did in the preseason. He looked good against the Raiders in that game. Not so good in that. Who they play the last game? I can't remember now. It wasn't the
He
Rams. That
played.
was their first game.
Yeah, he was awful. I mean, we were so high on him after the Raiders game because the Raiders were playing their starters. They were trying to
Yeah,
figure out who their quarterback was. So they're flipping two first string
it was
quarterbacks back and forth.
That Chargers game.
And Trey Lance comes out and he was the star of the show, man. He did it with his legs, he did it with his arm. And then we're all, hey, Trey Lance is going to be the backup. He'll be one snap away from, being our future quarterback. And he goes in that last game against the Chargers, and I believe he threw the record for most interceptions in a preseason game. Didn't he throw 5 or 6 interceptions in that last
Yeah,
game? Brutal.
five,
So
definitely
then,
five.
yeah, he was
It might have
awful.
been six, but I know he threw at least five.
I think they said this is the preseason record. I didn't even know they kept records on that. I think
Oh
it's most
man,
interceptions anybody, and that makes sense because most guys only play a quarter or two in preseason. So
right. That's
to
very
get to
true.
5 or 6 interceptions, you can't do that unless you played the whole game, which he did, and he was terrible. And they weren't playing their starters, so yeah, we lost a lot of faith in Trey that night. But at this point, what do we got to lose? That's what Jennifer said right there.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we can try to move into some positives here, but at the end of the day, the offense. I blame this on the offense again. That's been kind of the story all year. Like, yeah, you could blame the defense, but at the same time, the offense isn't helping them out at all. And again, I thought the defense had a good performance, especially in the first half. The Cowboys should have been up. They gave them
Yeah,
they forced two turnovers. They pick one off in the end zone, which saves a touchdown, and then you force a fumble and have the ball within your own 5 yard line, and then your offense goes up there and or I'm sorry, the interception, I keep mixing this up. The interception led to the Zeke fumble inside the 5 yard line. So you gave away 7 points there. And then your defense immediately answers back with a strip sack that gives you the ball again within the 10 yard line. And you kick a field goal. You go 4 plays, 1 yard. So I don't blame the defense. I thought they came out
yeah,
and played well.
you're
Look,
right.
they limited the leading rusher in the NFL. Saquon Barkley was held to 66 yards, and this is statistically the worst rushing defense in the entire NFL. So they came out and played. Yes, they ended up with the stats are going to be lopsided. Hurts had 56 yards, and then garbage time equated to a lot more yards there. But they kept the Cowboys in this game in the first half. But once the Eagles went down and scored that second touchdown, they got the ball back in the second half. You're down 14-6, and your offense can't do a single thing. The game's pretty much over. So they can't play complementary football at all. Like they were gifted so many opportunities. This offense was, and they just couldn't do a single thing. So I think DeMarvion Overshown, it could be that's a bright spot. He had a really good
Yeah, he
game.
played great.
He get
Micah Parsons
eight
played well. He's
total.
good.
Yeah,
Defense
I
is
thought he
not
could
at
bounce
fault.
back. Yeah, forced the fumble.
Diggs,
Forced the fumble. Had
Diggs
two
got a pick.
sacks.
I mean, Diggs is back.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was starting to come
and
together.
yeah, I mean, it's not the
I mean,
defense's
coverage wise,
fault.
still a little shaky, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're
but I
down.
agree with you.
They're down a
That's
lot of
what you do
guys.
though.
So
That's his style of play. He's going to give you some yards, but he's going to come up with a big interception. That's kind of what we're used to. But yeah, I mean, 5 sacks on Jalen Hurts, extremely mobile quarterback. Like
yeah,
that's good stats, man. Like I think Dak wins this game. I hate to say it, even with this offense. I think well, it would have been hard to say. Obviously, that's hard to say with a 34-6 loss.
it
But
keeps it
I mean,
close. Keeps it. I mean, it's a close game with Dak in there. We can say that.
I
Maybe
think you're
we
up
lose a tight one, but
comfortably. Yeah, comfortably, I
who
would say you're
knows?
up 17-7 at halftime with Dak
Yeah,
because I don't think they get that last. Um, it's just totally different. If the Cowboys would have gone up 10-7, it's a totally different game, right? If they had a chance to make it 10-7 again, and they kick a field goal to make it 7-6. So, I mean, at that point, you're up 17-7, and whether they give up the touchdown at the end of the half or not, like that's a totally different game. So this offense was bad. Who knows? But yeah, I thought Marvin Overshown played well. I thought they had a good first half. They forced 2 turnovers, and in the second half, I mean, the game's over because your offense can't move the football. So overall, another disappointing performance. But I guess if you want to look at some positives, I thought the defense played, with the exception of that touchdown allowed at the end of the first half is a killer. But the other than that, I thought they played fairly well in the first half against pretty damn good offense. So I'll give them a little bit of credit for that. But yeah, it still sucked.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else from this game? I mean, it's just
No, I'm ready to close
embarrassing.
the book.
It's laughable. It's just
Close
yeah.
that book, man. I'm done with it.
Fourth straight loss for the Cowboys, 0-4 at home, and you got blown out by your rivals. So I mean, I think if I'm an Eagles fan, like I guess you're happy about that game, but like I still see a lot of flaws with this Eagles team, and I just think like the Cowboys are so terribly bad, but they just still 34-6 doesn't make sense when you really break down this game, especially that first half with the amount of gifts that the Eagles gave the Cowboys and they weren't able to cash in on. It's terrible. The Zeke Elliott thing is terrible. Yeah, the Cowboys are just historically bad right now. So yeah, good to see Micah back. He played a good game, 5 turnovers, what a killer. But overall, I think that's the biggest takeaway from these games. Where do we go from here, Cowboy Reg? We kind of already talked about it with Trey Lance and Cooper Rush, but Houston's coming in next week for Monday Night Football. Then you have the Commanders the following week, and then the Giants game Thanksgiving, and then you have the Bengals at the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Eagles. Now, I did a little research here that the current Vegas odds for the Cowboys is at 5.5 wins. With that remaining schedule, are you taking the over or the under on that?
Woo, I want to be optimistic and take the over, but I look at the schedule and I see 2 wins remaining. But when you're not a playoff team and you're 5-10 or whatever they'll be at one point, you might be playing somebody who's resting their starters going to the playoffs. So Vegas is thinking they might win one more in week 16 or 17. So I probably take the over because I think they got 2 wins on their schedule. Hot take, ain't going to want to hear it, but one of them is the Giants on Thanksgiving.
Jennifer says take the under.
Yeah, I'm taking the over because I think they win a garbage game in week 17 or 16. They win a garbage game with Trey Lance playing a preseason game. He's pretty good at preseason games.
Yeah, I mean that's 5.5 that's the favorable odds. You'll get I think it's like it was either at -110 or -120 when I saw it, depending on your sports book. But your plus odds are going to be to take the under there. So that's probably at like +120, +130. So Vegas still favors them to go over. 5.5 though, I mean, so that's low for. I mean, I guess they are 3-6, but the schedule's tough. I mean, the Cowboys have just had this has been just an awful season. You've had a disappointing offseason, but still the team was still set to be okay. And then
Look
all
good
the
in week
injuries
1.
occurred.
Look good. No, they look great in week 1.
Look great in week 1.
We're like, okay, Jerry, we're sorry, man. You did it. You're good. And then
the Browns end up being terrible. Indescribable blowout loss to the Saints, which makes no sense. You fall to 1-2, and then you suffer all these injuries in a Giants win, and then scrape away a win at the Steelers. You're 3-2. You're down to Marcus Lawrence. You're down Micah Parsons. You're still on Brandon Cooks. You still don't have Deron Bland. And then you suffer more blowouts, and then Dak Prescott goes down for the year. It's like not only that, but the Cowboys have this currently. Now, this is a strength of schedule done by PFF, so it changes every week, which I find the most reliable. They have the second toughest strength of schedule in the entire NFL. Those are teams played and upcoming schedule, which I would agree with. Like this schedule has been brutal. Their upcoming schedule is brutal. Even the teams that have losing records, like the Bengals and the Bucks, like those are still tough teams that are going to be fighting for their playoff lives. Like I don't know so much about in a few weeks with the Bengals, but I think the Bucks still have a decent team. I haven't looked at their schedule, but You got to play the Commanders twice. You got to play the Texans, who have really struggled. They desperately need a win next week. The only winnable game, the Giants and the Panthers, I look at as potential wins. But I mean, are you really going to win both of those with how the team looked last week? I don't know, man. The Panthers are kind of turning things. They're hot right now. They got 2 straight wins for the first time in I think 2 years. So good for them. But those poor Germans that had to watch that game, man.
Hey, at least they got overtime and they kept serving those big beers, man. They
Yeah,
had them big
like,
German
they're
beers.
they're big as wide Stanley Cup,
In
man.
overtime, they were
Those are
double
awesome.
fisting them. They're in overtime, double fisting them in the crowd, full of beer. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is where it's at right here. The pretzels, man. Did you see those pretzels? They were just partying
That's
there.
that could be if the Cowboys were playing the Panthers in Germany this year, I'd be like, yo,
Yeah,
let's fly out there
let's
because that'd be
go.
the only thing to save the season was to just
Let's
go to
go. To go
Germany
to
and
Hofbrauhaus the night before. That
yeah,
would be
man.
it. Been there, done
I
that.
honestly I used to dislike the London games I don't find like that interesting. Like London's cool. I've been there. I don't know if like a football game would be that fun, but um a Germany game would be I would go I think I would heavily consider going to Germany to watch the
Yeah.
Cowboys. That would be a lot of fun. They seem to do a really good job. The Giants slander, I agree with. F the Giants till we get a new QB. I'm just a football fan the rest of the year. Yeah, we're with you, Hot Take City. It's time to jump on another bandwagon because our teams are
Go
cooked.
Bills.
And
Go Bills. Hot take. Go Bills.
yeah, but I already told my wife like it's gonna be Lions and Chiefs. Like that's what the
Lions and
NFL wants, I
Bills.
think.
The NFL would
Yeah.
love this. Lions and Bills, neither has ever won a Super Bowl, and we're playing one right now. Let's go. Now, what they really will do, you're right, is probably we got to put that three-peat out there, get Kansas City in the
Three-peat
Lions.
versus the Lions who never won,
Yeah.
right? That's the ultimate
Yep.
story.
And then we get one more week of Taylor Swift, and I mean, you get 2 more weeks because you got a 2-week Super Bowl build-up where she's going to be cited everywhere. They're making big money on that deal. You're probably right. Probably going to be the Chiefs.
Yeah, Jennifer says prices for tickets to Cowboys versus Panthers are
That's what I'm
continuing to
talking
fall.
about. That's right down the road for me. I could go to that, but do I want to drive up to Charlotte and watch them lose? You got me thinking they're going to lose now, so I don't know if I want to
Well,
go.
ESPN matchup predictor gives the Panthers a 54% chance to win that game. It's so
There
bad.
it is.
They're going to be
Yeah,
favored. They're probably going
they
to be
probably have
favored.
some
I mean, a
fans
lot
show
of
up.
things could change. Things could change. Oh
I was
yeah,
thinking
that's
earlier
got to be their
that we
Super Bowl, man.
yeah, we would have 90% Cowboys fans if they were, 0-10. But now all of a sudden their fans might come out and I don't want to be there for that.
No. Yeah, that would be there. You're gonna run into your old friend Hank, and he's
Oh, Big
gonna
Hank.
keep pounding. Our boy Josh says the Cowboys are still better than the Jets. That's right. Hell yeah, we're still better than the
Hey,
Jets.
they had expectations. We knew better.
We both did, but they had higher expectations in the media frenzy. I mean, poof,
Oh,
Aaron Rodgers, you're cooked, man. That's the one thing you could say. And say what you want. Mike McCarthy won that Super Bowl for Aaron Rodgers. Clearly, because Aaron Rodgers has had plenty of years post McCarthy. He can't get it done. So obviously it was McCarthy. Keep him around.
yeah. And you can't look at Green Bay and say they have a bad coaching staff. They have arguably the best coaching staff in the NFL. They just change quarterbacks every generation and they're still great. So that's on Rodgers. He's looking like a fool right now. We'll see what happens. I mean, the season's not over. He's going to start. He ain't going nowhere because he has proved one thing. He calls all the shots, like LeBron does in the NBA. Rodgers is doing that in the NFL, and in for the Jets, they're letting him do it. He's picking coaches. He's picking his linemen. He's picking the plays, and he's falling flat on his face. And it's great. It's a great relief for what's going on with our Cowboys this year.
Yeah, I mean that has taken some of the media attention away. I definitely would say is the Jets. So thankful for that. Jennifer Bullitt says, "Come on, time for us to meet." Yeah, we're gonna do a Sons of the Star gathering at the Carolina Panthers game. Maybe if we get some
Oh,
invited,
yeah, right. Hey, if you're
we
going,
can
I'm
have
going. But
a live pregame
yeah,
show. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. Oh
that would
man,
make it
but
worth it.
yeah, it's dire times. Obviously, I haven't started looking really into draft picks and things like that, but it's like where do you go from here? Obviously, all the questions are surrounding the Cowboys. Who do you go as your next head coach? When are they gonna, fire McCarthy? If they haven't fired him by now, I don't know how long. I would assume they continue to keep him around. I mean, is there a point where they still fire him this year? Jerry Jones has come out and said he doesn't fire coaches, halfway through the season after last time with his lesson with Jason Garrett. So I don't expect him to do that. I don't know how much this season falls apart. I'm just kind of looking at that. I think Vegas has kind of nailed it. Like, I don't think they go winless from here on out, and that would be unprecedented. But maybe looking at 2, 3 more wins. I mean, what does success look like at maybe 7 wins? I mean, if the team could go 7-10 for this team, I don't know. It's just there's so much to go. But then you have the other side of it. It's like, do you really want to scrape out a bunch of wins with Trey Lance and then sacrifice some draft picks? That's tough to say. I don't like going down that route. I don't like tanking. I don't believe in it. Unfortunately, you have to kind of be really bad to get some of those good draft picks. You look at the salary cap situation with the Cowboys, that might be what they need to win the next few years. But I don't know. I'm rambling, Cowboy Reg, because I don't know where to go from here when it comes to this season. But do you have anything to say about the season as a whole, that what's left of it?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think McCarthy keeps his job through the end of the year. But something interesting is Jerry doesn't fire coaches in season unless it's an embarrassment. And losing, let me rephrase that, getting blown out by the Texans on Monday Night Football at home and having the Houston, let's say the Houston fans take over the stadium, which they will. The Cowboys fans are selling their tickets as we speak. Their tickets are going to Houston fans. That's what happens in Jerry. That's what happens with Jerry World every time they fail, is they still sell out and they're still going to be packed, but it's going to be the other team. So Houston goes in there and wins a game, let's say it's 48-6 or something like that. I don't think McCarthy survives that. How could
there's got to be a breaking point, right? There's got to be a breaking point.
And I thought it was in Philly.
You can't get away with murder.
I was hoping it was in Philly. This is it. He'll be gone. And I knew when I woke up the next day, I thought, yeah, he's going to be back. I knew it. You knew it was going to happen. Go give him another shot. It's not his fault Dak went out. Well, before Dak went out, he was making play calls that are mind-boggling. And now, since Dak's been out, they're getting worse. So if they get blown out at home and Houston takes over that stadium and Jerry's up in his box looking down and it's all Houston fans and they're blowing us out, he might say, that's it, Mike, we're done.
Yeah, you might be right about that. You may be right. And I remember circling this game preseason and saying, this is a game, I know it's not technically a rivalry game, but a game I'd really like to win because you don't want to deal with and I don't know a lot of Texans fans. Actually, I don't know if I know any Texans fans. I think they only exist in Houston, and nowhere else. But like, you can't lose to your little brother of Texas, right? Everyone knows Texas has the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, we've fallen a long time. We've fallen from glory, but still, talk about Texas football. It's the Cowboys. You can't have Houston go in there and blow you out. I would think you're right about that. And the other thing about this Texans team is, obviously they're very surprising last year. CJ Stroud, pretty little bit of a disappointing start. I'm not going to say they've been a total disappointment this year. They're still 6-4. They lead their division, which is the worst division in all football. They've lost 2 straight. They lost to the Jets a couple weeks ago, which was surprising. And, they just suffered that Sunday Night Football loss, really dramatic loss to the Lions, but completely blew that game. So they need a win. They've played nothing but close games this year, though. They started the season beating the Colts 29-27. They beat the Bears 19-13. Then they got blown out by the Vikings 34-7. They squeaked by the Jags 24-20. They beat the Bills, which is a really good win at home, 23-20. They beat the Patriots on the road by 20 points. Patriots are one of the worst teams in the league. Then they lose to the Packers 24-22. They beat the Colts 23-20, lose to the Jets 21-13, lose to the Lions 26-23. So, yes, they are a good team, but they play a lot of close games. They've blown some leads. They've lost some disappointing games as well. So they're pretty up and down. Not saying that means the Cowboys are going to win, but after how bad last week was, how inept the offense was, the defense started to look a little better. They have to, like, you would think they could go out and at least make a close game, like less than 10 points maybe for the first time all season.
You
Like
would
at
think.
home, I guess they were within that with the Ravens fake comeback, but I mean, I don't know. I don't
I
know,
mean,
Cowboy Reg. I think you're right about that. I think a blowout loss to the Texans would kill him. I think that would be the end of McCarthy. So, um, like I said, it's a Monday night game next week. We got a lot of time. Maybe we can hop on here and do a little pregame show. There's not a ton to talk about, but maybe we could do that next Monday night, maybe before the game, potentially. Kind of do that as our show. We'll talk about that. But if we aren't able to do that, I kind of broke down the season of the Houston Texans, but I don't think it's really worth getting into a lot about what they do because it's really about how bad the Cowboys are and what they can do on offense and potentially on defense. It's really about if they could do anything on offense whatsoever, maybe they have a shot at this game. Doesn't really look like it at this point, but like I said, let me pull up here. All right, the Cowboys will play at home against the Houston Texans Monday Night Football at 7:15. Houston is currently favored by 7 points. Well, that's where it opened. I'm sorry. It's now 7.5. The over-under is at 42.5. So that would 7.5, 42.5. What is Vegas predicting? I got to use my calculator here. 7.5 is not a lot though. I'll give them that.
It's a lot in the NFL, but realistically, it's not a lot the way this team's been playing. They're saying low scoring, right? 23-16
Low scoring
or
for
something.
sure. Yeah,
23-16, something like that.
23-16 is 39, 7 points. Yeah. What do you get for us, Calvin Reg? Any predictions here?
No, I mean, I think 17-9 Texans. Because what I want to happen is 50-3 Texans because I want McCarthy out. And I don't care because I'm not sure they'd make the right decision next year anyway. So you would like to kind of see an intern.
That's a great
see an
point.
intern coach, and that's a tryout because if a guy comes in and they start winning games because he's relinquished the play calling to somebody else, or he's a offensive coordinator, and you bring him in intern and he's calling plays, which doesn't happen because McCarthy's the coordinator. I guess it'd be Zimmer. I guess you make Zimmer hasn't been a great defensive coordinator. You make Zimmer the head coach. You make Al Harris the defensive coordinator, and somebody calls plays, and you let it roll.
Let Schottenheimer call plays. I mean,
there
I
it
guess.
is right there. That's it. And then these guys are all gone anyway, so give them all the keys to the Cadillac and say, guys, take it for a spin and see what happens. Why not? You got nothing to lose. Trey Lance is your quarterback, new coach, new coordinator. If you lose all your games, you're picking number one next year. If you win some games, he might be a better coach, and we might say, hey, maybe he needs another shot at being a head coach because he hasn't done great as a defensive coordinator. But I don't think he's been as bad as his stats. His stats are bad because the offense is historically bad. It's the worst
and
offense
with the
we've ever
injuries,
seen. Yeah, amazing. He hasn't had a full slate all year.
Yeah, he hasn't had all year, right? Because we had the Sam Williams injury, we had the Deron Bland still hasn't played football this year. Like your secondary has been incredibly banged up. You've had games where you've had your 6th and 7th defensive ends out there. The D line is a hot mess. So I don't really and Zimmer's shown the ability to show flashes, right? Like this game, he stopped the run in the first half. The defense did okay. So I'm not on the like Mike Zimmer sucks train because like he just has, and like you said, they haven't been able to play complimentary football all year. So if you're like fire Mike Zimmer, like I don't know, man, they've played 9 games, historically bad football, given an injury bug like crazy. You got the second toughest strength of schedule in the entire NFL. It's been a really tough year overall. So I'm not ready for that. Yeah, I think it's still the right to get rid of McCarthy because he's just a lame duck. There's just nothing he could do at this point. The only way he could have saved his job is to somehow like win the Eagles game and then kind of maybe end up the season like 8-9 or something, given all the injuries. And you would say, I don't know. There's really nothing he could do to win this year. Like they got him sitting there with a team that can't win,
No, can't
expecting
win.
him and telling him you're either win the Super Bowl or you're gone. Like it's an impossible situation. I don't know why McCarthy would want to even show up to work. I think that's why, like, his motivation must be at an all-time low. That's why you see what you see out of the offense, because why would he care? He's done anyway. So let him go. What are we
Yeah,
doing
that's what
here?
I'm
I
saying.
don't understand it. If you
I
end up
mean,
3-7, 0-5 at home, you got to
you
let him
can
go.
make Al Harris the head coach. You can make Mike
Yeah,
Zimmer the
just
head
do
coach.
something.
It doesn't matter. You could still do what you want to do with the coaching situation because this team can't win. And the reason the team can't win is there's just nobody left. I mean, they've got so many injuries, and the quarterback situation is so bad, and the play call situation has been so bad. The offensive line is so young. You got rookies out there playing that we thought we'd be developing, yet now they're starting. So, what is McCarthy doing? You're right. Why does he show up to work every day? Just to collect a check, I guess.
Yeah, Jennifer Bullard says there's no discipline. Zimmer may be the one to hold the players' feet to the fire. Yeah, who knows? I mean, I think if you were to start Trey Lance and make Al Harris the head coach, I think the players would
That'd be
rally around
fun.
those two.
It'd
They
be
love
fun.
Al Harris. That's the reason
Yeah.
these interim coaches win games, because the players love him and they finally gives them something to play for again. They want to help him out. And they want to help him get a job. It doesn't mean you have to hire him as your head coach. If the Cowboys go out and win some games, it doesn't mean you have to hire him as your next head coach. It just gives him an opportunity to either move on or get promoted to D coordinator. I don't know, but if you come in with a full new staff next year, Al Harris is probably going to be gone anyway. So if you're worried that we're going to lose Al Harris if we promote as the interim coach, like I don't see that happening either. So I don't know, man. That would make this season, the rest of the season, watchable, because right now we'll still watch and we still have plenty to talk about, but it's a hard watch right now because the effort's not there and you got a lame duck. You got a lame duck coach. But yeah, Houston Texans, Cowboys, give me the Texans 30-10. Because they
That
need this win. Yeah,
that's
30
flirting
to
with
10.
Mike McCarthy getting fired. That's
Yeah.
right on the edge of McCarthy. McCarthy could get fired for 30-10, so be
I
careful
think
there.
it's I think it's a lot like last week where they kind of show
Yeah.
some fight in the first half. Maybe the offense improves a little bit, but not enough. And then they just pull away at the end. And yeah, give me the Texans 30-10. That sucks. And it's still, yeah, it sucks.
That's your
We
pick.
suck. We suck, man.
In
I
my
can't. I mean, you
opinion, that
can't.
sucks.
I don't even know how you could pick the Cowboys to cover in this game. I think you're out of your mind if you pick them to cover. Houston's been a little disappointing this year, but I'm not picking the Cowboys against anyone in the NFL right now. The way they looked last week, I can't. You can't. There's no way you could.
No,
Maybe the
no,
Bears. I mean, the Bears
no.
look just as bad. I would say, but
The
because they scored,
Giants
I
win
think
it.
three. Yeah, what did they score? Three,
That's the
six
Giants.
points.
That Thanksgiving game is going to be an absolute field goal competition. That's going to be.
We might take my
I
turkey nap during that game.
I do not believe that Daniel Jones will be the starting quarterback by the time we get to Thanksgiving.
Trey
So it
Lance
could be.
versus Tommy DeVito.
There it is. It's going to be. It's
That's
going to be
watchable.
some
That's watchable.
low quality football. But the only reason we're going to watch is we might get a win. We might win 6-3. We might win 9-6. It's going to be something ugly like that.
Yeah, that's classic Jerry. He's gonna be like rolling out there at the halftime. Who's doing the halftime show? I forgot. I think they said the other day. I can't remember it.
Yeah,
Um,
they put on a good show for Thanksgiving. It's
yeah, he's
Thanksgiving's
gonna
one
roll
of
out
the
there after the win and be like, oh, yeah.
yeah. Eat the turkey
And
leg.
his son's gonna be glaring in everybody's face his afternoon game.
You will have Brandon Aubrey eating the turkey leg because he'll
Yep,
be the MVP with his
he's
3
gonna
field
kick
goals.
five field goals,
Oh,
all
hey,
from
we'll take
60
that's a
plus.
lot of offense right there. I don't think they'll get 5 field goals.
No, they're all gonna be from 60 plus,
Oh,
just
they'll
banging
take
them
that.
in.
Bang them.
I wonder, here's an interesting record. What's the long, like if you multiply the amount of kicks you made by the yardage, what's the record for that? That would be some interesting work to do.
Yeah, I mean,
That'd be like
he's like
300 total
nine
yards of
for
kicking.
10 from 50 plus. So he's got to be with that stat right there, he's got to be one of the best of all time, I'm sure, because they line him up from over 50 a lot. I see a lot of teams in the NFL still punting around the 54, 55-yard mark. That's never a punt with Brandon Aubrey on your team. They never punt. They don't punt under 60 at all. Anything around 60 to 63, they'll still try.
Yeah. Well, there you got it, folks. We're going to talk kicking because that's all we got. But
that's all we got.
Yeah, we'll see maybe later this week or maybe before the game we can hop on here. But as of now, we are predicting, unless anything changes, we are predicting the Cowboys to lose this game to the Houston Texans by a convincing fashion. Yeah, Cowboy Reds picking an ugly one, 17-9. Is that what you said?
17-6.
17-6. I got the Texans 30-10. This is going to be tough. Hopefully they surprise us with a big win. We'll see. Maybe Cooper Rush just didn't feel good last game. He's going to light it up. God knows. But there'll be plenty to talk about. So, again, thank you all for joining us. We had a good participation tonight. So, appreciate you guys suffering with us through this this season. And we will see you next time on Son of the Star. Until then, go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.